Hello, everyone. Welcome in to this SEC Morning Report here on Southeastern 14. I am Blayne Gilmer here once again to be talking to you about SEC football. And guys, we're inching closer and closer to the third Saturday in October here with Tennessee and Alabama. Going to do a deep dive into that, talk a little bit about Lane Kiffin as Ole Miss prepares for the Auburn game and some of the intricacies of that matchup, things like that. So excited to be talking ball today. And guys, we always appreciate you tuning in. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications. That's always welcome and always appreciated. And guys, if you think that your business would like to target a audience that is ever growing here of SEC crazed fans, then you need to hit up Caroline.Smith at Southeastern 14 and find out how you can be an MVP with us here on the channel. So thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We really appreciate that. And it's time to talk a little bit about just how similar these two teams are in Tennessee and Alabama. Guys, as I look at this matchup, you know, you start diving into things. And of course, it was a great game last year up in Knoxville. Tennessee came away with the victory. But man, it was a situation where I just think you're looking at, okay, this hasn't been done in quite a while. And now you're getting opportunity if you're Alabama to kind of squelch out any of that momentum that Tennessee kind of garnered from beating you in Knoxville last year and trying to keep this thing more of a rivalry in historical terms than you are in relevant terms, in modern terms, right? But Tennessee looks at it totally differently. They look at, okay, we've turned the corner. We know how to play with Alabama. We've got the talent now on our roster to be able to compete year in and year out. So we're going to find out. We're going to find out which one is it, if Tennessee is truly turned the corner in this rivalry and they're able to, you know, year in and year out compete with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, is it possible that this is a game that isn't played every year going forward with new SEC scheduling? Yeah, and I think that would be sad if you lose a rivalry like this, but just from the historical background of it. People don't realize for decades this was a rivalry that people just looked forward to all year long. I mean, lots of hatred, the good kind of hatred, not like literal hatred of as a people, but for that program, for that opposing jersey color, just an amount of disdain that really makes college football great is what you love to see. Also, too, I think there are elements of each football team, Alabama's football team, that Tennessee thought they were going to have this year that they don't. And I think there's elements of Tennessee's football team that Alabama kind of thought they were going to have this year that they really don't. So maybe some program jealousy a little bit in terms of, man, I wish we could do this like they're doing it type deal. And we'll get into that as well. But guys, we have some numbers that we're going to bring up, and we do these a lot on our game day show, but I thought it was worth going ahead and skipping forward to it. So I'm going to bring this up right here. This is a inside the numbers look at Tennessee's defense versus Alabama's offense. And then, of course, we'll flip the tables on things. But let's go ahead and bring the numbers up here. You can see these are advanced metrics, guys. And when you're talking about this, you're talking about two teams that pride themselves on physicality up front. All right. And when you're talking about the Tennessee defense and that defensive front up there, I think you have to give Josh Heupel a ton of credit for building a defense that prides itself not only on being physical up front, but creating chaos up front and getting penetration and being able to disrupt people's plays a lot of times before they ever get started. You can see right here that stuff rate of 22.6%. That stuff rate number, guys, is, okay, how many times on running plays are you holding teams to or behind the line of scrimmage. So is it a play that's a negative play or all the way up to a play of no gain? And Tennessee's doing a fantastic job of that 22.6% of the time, holding people to at or behind the line of scrimmage on runs. You can see Alabama, the stuff rate, not tremendous, not exactly what you want in terms of offensively, but not terrible either. Really a more average number there. Alabama's rush offense kind of struggled early on in the year a little bit. So the partial of those numbers and definitely that USF game, things like that, tie into this. 14.4% of the time, Alabama is getting their run stuffed at or behind the line of scrimmage this year, which, like I said, is just kind of an average number. The havoc rate is getting close to being in that elite territory for Tennessee. Anytime you get upwards of 20%, it is very, very close. Now, if you added in quarterback pressures to this, Tennessee's numbers would be very high. They have affected the quarterback a lot, even when they haven't sacked him, and even when they haven't gotten tackles for a loss, they have affected the backfield play a lot. So that doesn't reflect directly in havoc, because havoc is tackles for a loss, sacks, tip balls, forced fumbles, interceptions. Anything the defense does that in terms of those, that's what goes towards your havoc stats. Pressures do not go into that, but James Pierce Jr. alone would add a lot to that for Tennessee in terms of pressures. So getting close to being an elite number for Tennessee there. Alabama, the havoc rate a little bit higher, like I said, than you would want. I think some of that has to do with the struggles of Caden Proctor at left tackle. Also, I think it has to do with some of the bad snaps that you've seen from Seth McLaughlin, really, that have created some negative plays on the year as well at times. So I think those are two things you got to clean up. If you're Alabama, we know that Caden Proctor's been struggling at left tackle, and he's going to have a big task against him this week with James Pierce and Tyler Barron and all those guys on that Tennessee defensive front. The points per opportunity, that's a stat, guys, where once you get inside if your offense, it's once you're inside the opponent's 40-yard line. Defensively, the way it's measured is they get inside your 40-yard line. So once the 40-yard line of a team is crossed, the defense is crossed, then what is the average points per those opportunities that you're either getting or giving up? Tennessee's doing very, very well in those situations, allowing less than a field goal on scoring opportunities. And then you've got Alabama doing quite well offensively in that scenario as well, where they're trending more towards a touchdown per every time that they have crossed the 40-yard line instead of down towards the field goal number. So that's really, really good. The line yards, guys, I think we're seeing strength on strength here. This is on actual run plays. How much yardage is the line responsible for in terms of the offensive line responsible for? Tennessee holding opposing offensive lines to just 2.38 line yards. Anything well below 3 like that is very, very good, and anything above 3 means you're getting a really, really good push. So strength on strength there in Alabama's run in terms of the run blocking of their offensive line versus the ability to stop that run and stop the push by Tennessee's defensive front. And then the average predicted points added numbers, Tennessee very, very good, trending towards it's 400ths of a point per play basis. That's really, really good. Alabama, not very good. You would like that number, the average for the year, okay, in predicted points added in the SEC is trending up closer to 0.29 points, and they're at 0.23. They have had some struggles in terms of, staying ahead of the chains at times, not being able to. They've been very big play dependent, okay? So that doesn't give you a good average, efficiency number there in the predicted points added. You need to be more steady offensively, and Alabama's kind of been feast or famine a little bit this year with a lot of big plays that have helped them out in their scoring opportunities there. So that's Tennessee's defense versus Alabama's offense. I think some of the key matchups when you're talking about players, guys, in that situation. Like I said, I'm looking at James Pierce, Tyler Barron, Aaron Beasley whenever they get matched up on Caden Proctor, whenever they're whoever they're able to put on that right side of Tennessee's defense over the left side of Alabama's offense. You got to look at that and see how that matches up as well. And then also, too, I want to see, okay, how does Jalen Milroe operate once they get into Tennessee territory? Because I think they'll be able to move the ball and do some things kind of from your own 25 to once you get to about Tennessee's 35. But once that field starts condensing a little bit and those windows get a little bit tighter, I want to see some maturity out of Jalen Milroe. Can he not lock in on a receiver? And a lot of their scores, honestly, and a lot of their big plays, honestly, have come, within their own territory, taking shots down the field. So when that field gets condensed, who's going to have the advantage there is one thing I'm wanting to see. It's strength on strength, as Tennessee has kind of been, limiting people's opportunities quite well when other teams do get into their territory, guys. And Alabama has, they've done a good job as well. Like I said, 4.3 points per scoring opportunity is no slouch right there for Alabama. Now, guys, let's take a look at the defensive numbers for Alabama versus the offensive numbers for Tennessee. One thing I'll say right here is it is very, very tough to stop Tennessee's run game at or behind the line of scrimmage. Okay, only 11.4 stuff rate. That is very, very good for Tennessee. That tells you they're getting a good push up front. You see that indicated in their line yards down there. The offensive line for Tennessee is responsible for 3.33 yards per rush. Okay, that means they're basically getting a 3-yard push, a cushion at times for those running backs to get going and get downhill. And we know when you got Jalen Wright and Jabari Small, Dylan Sampson, all those guys being able to get a little bit of a head start like that, that is huge for this Tennessee team. They've been well below average on their predicted points added, guys. Tennessee has not been very good inside of other teams' 40-yard line when they have a scoring opportunity. Joe Milton, not been great down in the red zone. Last week against Texas A&M, they were 3 of 5. 2 of those 3 were field goals. So I think you've got to be better inside of the other team's 40 and definitely down in the red zone. Joe Milton, when that field is condensed on him a little bit, there's been some mistakes. He threw an interception down in the red zone last week that was brutal for Tennessee. So as good as Tennessee's been with the on offense, with the stuff rate there of not getting stopped at or behind the line of scrimmage with the run game, they've got really good line yardage when you're talking about getting a push with the run game. It's been Joe Milton and this passing game deficiencies in terms of keeping them on schedule and also being productive once you get into scoring opportunities that has held this team back. They've not allowed a whole lot of havoc. They've protected Joe Milton pretty well. So you see Tennessee, the numbers clearly show you that they can run the football well. They're physical up front in the run game. Heck, they're even protecting Joe Milton well. But those efficiency numbers with the points per opportunity and then the average predicted points added for Tennessee's offense will tell you, hey, you're getting poor quarterback play. You are not getting what you need out of Joe Milton or that passing game to be able to produce points, because a lot of your points in college football are set up by explosives. And when you don't have explosives, particularly out of the passing game, guys, eventually the defenses are going to stand up and they're going to be able to limit your explosive runs. Okay. And that's just how it goes. So let's look at explosive plays. Tennessee overall, guys, this year is 23rd, or is 13th in the SEC, almost dead last, with only 23 plays of 20 yards or more this year. That is why you see those points per opportunity not good. That's why you see the predicted points added well below the league average there for offense. Now, defensively for Alabama, not an elite stuff rate. Okay, so it tells you, hey, Tennessee may be able to run the ball a little bit here. It's okay stuff rate, not elite. Havoc rate, again, just okay, not elite. The points per opportunity, very, very good for Alabama, holding people closer to that field goal number, well closer to the field goal number than they are allowing them to get in the 4 to 5 point range towards a touchdown. So that tells you they're kind of bowing their back a little bit when they get when other teams get into their territory. The line yards, okay, right under the 3-yard mark, so they're being pretty physical up front. And I think that is something that Nick Saban defense pride themselves on. I think what you're going to see here is you've seen Alabama just play at a kind of okay level defensively. They've had some lapses at times, and been able to not be able to finish off some plays. I think is the biggest thing, because they're in good position a lot of times. They're where they're supposed to be, but it's just being able to finish off plays. Now, Joe Milton is a big, strong quarterback, just like KJ Jefferson was, and KJ Jefferson, threw the Alabama defender off a couple of times, escaped the pocket, made some crazy plays. Joe Milton is going to try to utilize his legs quite well in this game, because that is a huge deal. And a lot of times, whether it's if you go back and look at history, it's the mobile quarterback, the quarterback that can extend plays with his feet, that can make plays off schedule, that has affected not only Nick Saban defenses, but Kirby Smart defenses. Everybody that's come out of that Saban coaching tree, kind of the Achilles heel against them has been, hey, when you have a mobile quarterback and when you're able to extend plays, and then, once you get outside the pocket, keep your eyes downfield and make throws that are off schedule, that is a big way to help thwart a Saban designed defense. Okay, so Joe Milton has that in him. He has the ability to be able to do that. We know he's big and physical and can run. So if you go and look inside the numbers, guys, I don't think you could find any two teams that are two more clearly matched than Alabama and Tennessee in terms of, okay, there are some strengths of Alabama's that take advantage of Tennessee weaknesses. And also Tennessee, there's some strength on strengths for each of the teams. And also Tennessee's run game, I think, is really, really a big boost for them. Not only the run game in terms of offensive, but being able to stop the run. So I think there's going to be a couple of factors here that this comes down to. Like I said, when this game is inside of in the plus 40, okay, inside, once Tennessee is inside Alabama's 40-yard line, once Alabama is inside Tennessee's 40-yard line, how do these quarterbacks operate once the field starts getting condensed? Are they able to not force anything and create a turnover situation for their team? Joe Milton has done that recently. We saw Jalen Milroe do it early in that Ole Miss game where he kind of forced something a few weeks ago. But I think since then we've seen Jalen Milroe grow, and we've seen Joe Milton regress. So who plays better? It's going to be hard for Joe Milton to do that on the road, that type of environment. I think Tennessee's run game is going to have to be explosive early, get that tempo going, and provide, they're going to have to find a way to make Alabama say, okay, we're going to try to bring an extra hat into the box and force you to play main coverage with us, and then hope that Joe Milton can be consistent enough to try to hit a couple of those shots deep against man coverage when they get it. Because Alabama's going to play some man coverage. If it's not true man coverage, whether it's some quarters match stuff, things of that nature that Alabama is going to do, and they're going to be very aggressive in doing it. I would also keep an eye out for Tennessee having running backs out of the backfield. I think that's a big deal there. I think they don't do it a ton, but when they do something like that, I think it could be a nice little changeup for Tennessee and kind of hurt Alabama a little bit there. But Alabama, I think, as good as Tennessee has protected Joe Milton, I think this is going to be a big opportunity for Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell to be able to, get to Joe Milton early on in this game. They have to get home though. You can't just flush him out, and you got to stay disciplined in how you rush a passer, because if you get in there and you try to arm tackle him, or you try to run past him type deal, he's going to step up in that pocket and he's going to take off, and that could be a advantage for Tennessee. Listen, I think that this game being in Tuscaloosa is huge. I think that crowd is going to be huge for Alabama. And ultimately, I think that Tennessee is just a little bit more one-dimensional this year than Alabama is, and that they won't be able to consistently convert on third down. Because if there's one thing that comes down to it, it's how do you play with those scoring opportunities there, in terms of once you get into the plus territory of another team, and then also how do you perform on money downs like third down. Guys, right here, you're looking at Alabama and Tennessee on third down conversions, both holding teams to 32, 33%. The rush defenses are very, very similar in terms of yards per game. The pass defense, I mean, these are two teams that statistically are very, very much alike. I do like the personnel of Alabama's front seven a little bit more than I like Tennessee's offensive line. But the running backs for Tennessee are very, very good. So, guys, those are inside the numbers of Alabama, Tennessee. I hope you enjoy that. And then I wanted to talk a little bit here about Lane Kiffin. Guys, Lane Kiffin is going on the road to Auburn. This is a big emotional deal. Of course, we call it the Hugh Freeze Bowl. He was at Ole Miss. We know what happened there. Now he's at Auburn. But Lane Kiffin has been creating a little bit of a stir lately, as only Lane Kiffin can do. A columnist wrote an article saying, hey, if Lane Kiffin loses to Auburn, he needs to be fired. Well, Lane Kiffin, what does he do? He just retweets the article. He's so comfortable in his own skin now, guys, when you talk about Lane Kiffin and what he has built over there at Ole Miss, that I just think he does not care what outside opinions are. He's gonna have fun with it and things of that nature. He just simply retweeted the article. If Lane Kiffin loses to Auburn, he should be fired. And Lane retweeted it, put it out on his X account, I guess you would call it now, things like that. He also put out a picture of his son Knox back when Lane was in Alabama and they beat Auburn at Auburn, of Knox doing the Cam Newton dab a little bit, okay, over there, the little dance move that Cam Newton used to do when he would score a touchdown that was popular back then, and just to try to get under get the goat of Alabama fans, of Auburn fans, excuse me, a little bit over there from his time at Alabama. I mean, Lane Kiffin has been in. What makes it interesting, Lane Kiffin has been involved now in the SEC at Alabama. He's been involved in it at Ole Miss. He's been involved in the SEC at Tennessee. So there's a lot of different fan bases and rivalries and things like that Lane Kiffin has ticked off over the years, and now he continues just to troll them a little bit, having fun with it social media wise. I would much rather somebody have some fun like that than I would them be immature in like press conferences and stuff like that. Lane goes out and he says all the right things and he'll keep it honest. But when he talks about NIL and all that kind of stuff, but I think the big thing about Lane Kiffin is you see how comfortable he is now, not only poking fun at himself because he's made mistakes over the years, but he's so much more comfortable in it. I think, just showing his team that, hey, as Billy Bob Thornton said, there ain't no curses, okay, when he looks back at the quarterback in Friday Night Lights before that coin toss. I think Lane Kiffin's just trying to tell him, hey, guys, you can't take yourself too seriously out here. You just got to go out, put your best foot forward, do what you can do, but you can't worry about what other people are saying about you, and you also can't take yourself too seriously right here, because you have to realize that it's not all about you, and it's about the success of the overall team. I just think it's very, very fun that a coach is kind of embracing the new era of social media in a way that is not detrimental to anybody. It was probably detrimental to him the Alabama week because a little bit too much with the Taylor Swift stuff and all that. But I think Lane Kiffin is a tremendously He's great for college football. He's great for the SEC and some of these rivalries and things of that nature. And I think just adding a little extra spice here this week, guys, I think it's going to be hard for Auburn to slow down everything that Lane Kiffin is going to bring in there with Jackson Dart, Quinshot Judkins, all those guys. So it's going to be a fun matchup. But I just thought I might want to refer you over to Lane Kiffin's Twitter account if you want some fun, because he's constantly keeping things interesting over there, guys. Of course, we've got another couple of games. We talked in depth last night about Missouri with Tavares King and Noshawn Marino, as they are playing very well right now. So check out that from last night over on the channel. Of course, we have daily shows every single day over here during the week. We got Jake Crane joining us tomorrow for Jake's Takes. So that'll be Friday at 10 Eastern, 9 Central. So check that out. That takes the place of our morning report here on Fridays during football season. But guys, we appreciate it so much. We appreciate everything that you're doing to support this channel. You can hit that join button if you would like to. That just simply, guys, makes you a part of our community and shows your support for what we're doing, pumping out videos here, and we would greatly appreciate that, guys. And we're also going to be announcing some Patreon stuff and things like that here pretty soon. So just stay tuned, and make sure that you are liking the videos. That helps us out a lot. Subscribing to the channel if you aren't already, turning on notifications so you know when we're going live. And if you want to partner with us here on the channel, hit up Caroline.Smith at Southeastern 14. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the inside the numbers on Tennessee and Alabama, and then also little thoughts there on Lane Kiffin as well as they prepare for Auburn. So like I said, I'm Blayne Gilmer. This is Southeastern 14, and this has been your SEC Morning Report for Thursday, October 19th. And we'll catch you guys next time to talk more SEC football right here on Southeastern 14.